And after the bloodshed at Tenedos, the longships departed once more into the wine-dark sea. Eastward, always eastward. And though the shores of Tenedos faded behind them, the shadow of what had been done there did not wholly depart from the host. The winds carried the fleet onward through lonely waters, until at last the ships came upon Lemnos, a lonely island in the northern sea not far from Troy. There, the Achaeans brought their ships ashore, for the men desired to make offering before continuing onward. Dark stones lined the coast. Sea mist drifted among the rocks, and the surf broke softly beneath the wind. And among the Danaans there sailed a man called Philoctetes, keeper of the bow of Heracles. For in years before the war, Philoctetes had stood beside the great hero Heracles at the end of his mortal life. Upon Mount Oita, he watched as Heracles endured the flames of his funeral pyre, while others feared to remain. And for that loyalty, the bow of Heracles had passed into his keeping. And as the men prepared their offerings upon the shores of Lemnos, Philoctetes walked unknowingly among the sacred stones. Beneath the rocks, hidden within the holy place, a serpent struck, and the cry that followed carried across both sea and shore. And the men rushed towards the cry, finding Philoctetes fallen among the stones, the serpent already vanished back into the rocks. At first, many believed the wound would pass, but day by day, the pain within the wound deepened, and no remedy brought relief. The flesh darkened, the swelling spread, and often, without warning, agony seized him where he stood. Then the cries would come again, carrying through the camp and across the water at night. Sleep abandoned the men. Conversations fell silent beside the fires, and many among the Achaeans began turning their eyes away whenever Philoctetes passed among them. For the suffering of one man had begun settling upon the whole host. For even the daily worship of the Achaeans beside the shore had begun to grow troubled. At times, the cries of Philoctetes rose above it. Yet still, Philoctetes endured. Through fever, through sleepless nights, through the endless pounding of the sea against the rocks, he endured. And the suffering of Philoctetes did not lessen upon Lemnos. Often the cries came suddenly, breaking across the camp without warning. And many among the host had begun sleeping little. Others spoke quietly beside the fires, casting uneasy glances towards the shelter where Philoctetes lay. For no remedy eased the wound, and no man knew whether the gods themselves had marked it with displeasure. Then at last, the kings gathered together beside the shore. Agamemnon and Menelaus beside him, Odysseus, Diomedes, and old Nestor, whose years exceeded those of all the others. Then Odysseus looked out towards the sea and spoke at last. The suffering within the camp has begun weighing heavily upon the host. No man sleeps in peace now, and fear has begun moving among the ships. Menelaus lowered his eyes, but spoke no word against them. And old Nestor, though troubled in spirit, remained silent beside the fire. For each man gathered there understood what was being spoken, even before the words themselves were fully said. As the days passed upon Lemnos, the suffering of Philoctetes grew heavier still. A rough shelter had been raised for him among the rocks above the shore, where the sea wind passed continually through the stone. Few approached the shelter unless duty required it. Yet still, Philoctetes endured. Men spoke little beside the fires, and when the cries of Philoctetes rose once more among the rocks, many lowered their eyes and said nothing at all. For already, the thought none wished to speak openly had begun spreading silently through the host. The ships could not remain there forever. Then before another dawn, the kings gathered once more beside the shore of Lemnos. No long debate passed between them then, for the matter had already settled itself within the silence of many nights. Agamemnon gave no open command, neither did he forbid what was now to be done. Yet Agamemnon declared that no companion of the host would be slain upon that shore. And Odysseus, seeing where the hearts of the men had turned, went to the shelter among the rocks. There, upon the shore of Lemnos, the truth stood between the two men.
You would leave me here?
For a moment, Odysseus said nothing.
The host cannot remain upon this island forever.
I sailed beside you beneath oath.
And still the fleet must sail onward.
Then silence settled once more between them, while beyond the rocks of Lemnos, the sea stretched endlessly eastward. And before the full light of dawn, the ships of the Achaeans departed from the shore of Lemnos. No trumpet sounded there. No farewell passed across the water. Beneath the morning mist, the dark hulls slipped away into the northern sea. High among the rocks above the shore, Philoctetes remained within the shelter where the men had left him. And when at last Philoctetes awoke, he looked outward across the water. Far in the distance, the sails of the Achaeans were already fading into the mist. The men beside whom he had sailed beneath oath had departed without him. Some men endure suffering. Others endure the burden of duty. And the strength of the soul is revealed by what it can bear.